So you've got £1,000, you want to invest in property, what do? Loads of people on the internet telling you can do things like lease options, option agreements, exchange with delayed completions, spend it on your education. I'd forget all of that because it's not going to work that well, and I'll tell you why. So education, £1,000, what are you really going to get for that? You're not going to get the hand-holding and support you need to help you succeed in property, so I'd forget the education. For £1,000 with your education, you're better off just going on YouTube, watching all these videos and getting educated that way and getting out in the real world and getting some experience, unless you've got quite a bit of money behind you. But obviously this video is about if you've got £1,000 to invest. So let's forget about education. Secondly, lease options. You can get properties, and I've taken properties on and control them with just £1 down and then pay the legal fees, which is about £1,000. So £1,001, you probably could do a lease option, but I wouldn't do one because if the boiler breaks and you've got no contingency, the tenant stops paying, you've got to be able to evict them. So you need more than £1,000. So forget lease options. Exchange of delayed completions and option agreements, getting them signed up and selling them on. You could do that, but let me tell you a better way and what I would do with £1,000 if I was starting off. Pretty much how I started, which was deal packaging. So it's like an estate agent, but we're not estate agents. We're a middleman. We introduce a property investor to a property deal and charge them a fee for doing that. Up to £5,000 per property on an average deal is what you get. So if you do one or two of those a month, 5-10k a month of income, it's quite doable. I'd never say it's easy because it requires work, but it is simple, relatively straightforward to do. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to find investors, I'm going to show you how to find the deals and marry them up and tell you what types of fees you can charge for doing that. So we're going to do an exercise now on the internet, and I'll show you exactly how to find the investors and then how to find some deals, package these up and make some money. Right, so we're on a platform called LinkedIn. Some of you may be familiar with this, linkedin.com. It's one of the best platforms for finding people with cash that are too busy to find property deals, and you can go out, find them and sell them to these people. So on LinkedIn, you've got a search bar top left, and I've clicked people and it's revealed 103,000 results. So that's 103,000 people on LinkedIn that have got the words property investor in the title. It says page after page after page. Now the good news is you don't have to manually connect with them. You can get an assistant, a virtual assistant from say the Philippines on $5-6 an hour to manually connect with all these and set calls up with you. That would be the smartest thing to do. And you can use part of your £1,000 to do that. That's a really good use of your money. Or you could do it yourself if you've got the time. And also another thing you could do, you could use software. So there's software out there that will harvest these connections and send everybody messages, and you can actually get free trials with some of them as well. So you really want to start off by using some of these resources to keep your overheads down. And then connect with these people. So the kind of message you're going to send to them, you're going to ask them if they're active in the market, if they're looking for deals right now. Tell them that you're sourcing or looking for deals. Now, one thing I do need to say as well, which I didn't kind of point out at the start, is to be a deal sourcer like this, you do need to be compliant and have some things in place. So part of your £1,000 does need to go towards your compliance, which I've done further videos on my channel on this, so you can check out specifically what you need. But again, it can be well under £1,000 to be a compliant deal sourcer. And to make sure you're fully compliant to put these deals together. So I thought I'd better mention that. But starting a property sourcing business is the lowest cost, lowest risk places to start, because you're not having to take on any debt or anything like that. You're literally just matching people up with deals and collecting some decent fees. So use LinkedIn, connect with lots of property people, with property investor in the title, ask them what they're looking for, what type of yields are buying off. Back in sort of before 2008, before the crash, lots of people were commonly asking us for 30% discounted properties, and you still get people, the odd person asking us for that now. Those days are long gone. typically we're getting deals at a 15 to 20% below the current market value, and in some cases we're not getting those big discounts. We're literally selling them off yield. So you need to be really clear with what they're looking for and making sure that you can find the right product, because I'm going to show you what types of deals to perhaps look for to sell these people shortly, because the market is dictating what we're getting at the moment and what types of deals we're doing and not doing. You can still get discounted properties, contrary to what people are saying. You can get really good deals. You can get lease options, these types of deals. But we do them all behind closed doors, off market, under the radar type deals. They're not ones that you'll find typically out there sat on Rightmove. You can use those methods to find them and speak to the owners and get in touch with them, I guess. And some of the methods I'll show you shortly, using perhaps some of those platforms. Specifically, we're going to use Zoopla actually, because it's got some really good features on there. But until you've got a marketing budget, and as we do, we invest in a lot of marketing to get our phone ringing, you're not in a position to be able to afford to do that. So you're going to have to be quite resourceful. So connect with investors like this, and also I'll show you on Facebook how to do that as well. So if you go to the search facility up here, top left, and you type in, we've got some pre-populated groups that we use already. So if we go on this one, this is a really active group. There's over 35,000 registered members. And you can see all these people asking for deals, people selling deals. Some of our team members here selling our deals. And all these people are looking for deals. So you can reach out to them directly and just say, I've seen you looking for property deals. How can I help? And build up a client list, a prospect list. Get them to be as specific as possible as what they're looking for. Get a shopping list and then go out and find the deals. Now I'm going to assume for this exercise, they're looking for a certain type of deal, maybe a discounted deal, a lease option or something like that. So I'll show you how to find them. But these might have a completely different criteria for you. Certainly the people on LinkedIn, they might just want a yield-based investment. So I'll also show you how to find perhaps some of those as well. But don't think you're going to be getting 30% off the market value deals. It's just not going to happen. And don't try and find those types of deals for investors, because unfortunately you'll waste so much time and you're not going to be able to get them. What you want to type into Facebook is property, and then go to groups. And then it's got all these groups, tells you how many members they have in them, how active they are, tells you how many posts are put in there every day. And that gives you an idea of how active those groups are. Some of these really popular groups. This is a really active, very, very popular group. So a lot of people looking for rent-to-rent service accommodations right now. You can sell those on for easily a couple of thousand, possibly a little bit more if you get really good deals. People looking for flips, people selling flips, people buying and selling deals basically on here. So get your list of investors, shortlist them, prospect them, qualify them on a call, and go for a little bit of an interview with them. So you want to ask them what they're looking for, perhaps find out how experienced they are. And as you build up the rapport with them, you'll get to know how much they've got to invest, how serious they are. Make a short list of, say, 20 to 50 of these investors, and then go out and start looking for deals for them. That's the best way to do this. And for you to source property and make money with your £1,000 that you've got, and go out and match people up with deals. So the next process, after you've got your shortlist, you've made sure you've qualified them a bit, you've told them that you need, how you make your money, you've been completely honest, you charge them a fee, and most of them will be fine with that because they're too busy to find deals, and that's your justification for finding deals and getting paid for them. So just be crystal clear with that, make sure that they're fully aware that there's fees involved, and typically you could keep it quite vague. You could say we charge between £3,000 and £5,000 per deal, depending how good the deal is, and go off and start finding deals for them. So next part of the process, you've got your short list of investors, you've qualified them best you can. The next thing is to go and find them some deals. So we're going to head over to a really popular website called Zoopla, zoopla.co.uk. And what you're going to do, you're going to put in an area. So I would say most of our investors, even the ones in London, the Hong Kong investors we deal with, most of them are all dealing in areas or buying deals offers in areas Birmingham or above, so the north typically. So let's say for this exercise we'll put in Durham, which is on the northeast. I'm using this as an example because there's some really low cost properties, high yielding investments. The thing I like about Zoopla is whatever area you put in, and it might be that your investors have told you what areas you're investing in, and that's what you want to find out, and find out mainly what they're looking for. If you've got a bulk of investors that are saying the northeast or northwest as a general area, then the more investors you've got for those, the more people you can take a deal to. So if one person says no to a deal, you can go to the next investors with them, rather than having lots of locations, you're having to find individual deals for people. So what you're going to do, you're going to go on Most Reduced. There's a feature on here that I really like called Most Reduced. So this shows you properties by a percentage and what they've been reduced by. Everyone assumes in this super hot property market we're in at the moment that everything's selling for above market value. That is the case in some deals, but not all of them. And there are properties out there and motivated sellers, people that need to get rid of properties quickly, and are prepared to reduce the price to get them gone quickly. You've just got to find them. Now, some investors, believe it or not, will buy on-market deals, so you can literally find deals on market. Now, I'll show you some of these. So investors recently have said to our sourcing team, they want deals, say for instance in the northeast, that produce a certain yield. Now, they're not bothered if they're online, because we're going to take care of finding the deal, making sure it's appraised, it's in the right location, it's got growth, it's got an endless supply of tenants, and it's got an 8 to 10% gross yield. It's a house, it's got a front garden, maybe it's got a back garden, maybe. They'll give us this criteria, we go out and find them, take them to them, they pay us a fee, and we hold their hand right the way through the process. We make it super easy for them. We introduce them to mortgage brokers, and this is all part of our service as helping people build their portfolios. So let's assume we're finding some of these properties for them. Now we're going to put in a criteria into the search box up here. So we're going to start off by this area only. Minimum of 2 bedrooms. Maximum price, no more than... Now let's say mainly they're buying for yield, some of these investors. So maybe you're not going to go above 80,000. You're not going to go below 40. And you're going to be looking for semi-detached. You probably won't get many semi-detached for these prices, but we'll have a look. Semi-detached and terraced are typically the properties you're going to find. And there we go. So we've got one result at the moment that's popped up. This 2-bed semi in Durham. Now we'd put that through further checks. We'd find out what the street's like. We'd speak to local agents and find out what the rent can achieve. We've also got the local housing authority that gives us long-term contracts on some of these properties as well for up to 5 years, and they pay a certain rent, and they will also take care of all the repairs. So you can literally buy the property, hand it over to them for the next 5 years. So this is what people are buying and paying us for deals for. Look at how you can add value to the investor, because nothing's stopping them going online and just buying this deal. But if you present it as a package, well, we've got a social housing contract, we've got, for 5 years on it maybe, we've got it a bit of a discount. All these things are USPs to your deal, but you need to understand what investors are looking for, what they've bought, what they buy. Get that shopping list of their investors and go out and get the deals to suit. So deals like this may suit our investors, but what I'd encourage you to do is perhaps increase the search radius, maybe 10 miles, see what that picks up on. And you've got to be really careful. Like anywhere in the UK, you've got good areas, bad areas, good streets, bad streets. Literally in a place like Liverpool that we know quite well, one street can vastly differ in price to the next street, which is literally next street over. So you've really got to understand and do your due diligence, because if your investors, if you start presenting deals that aren't very good to investors and they find out they're not very good deals, or worst case, they buy one and it turns out to not be a very good deal, then your reputation isn't going to last very long in this business. So you've got to make sure you do your due diligence. And it's all free, you could just go out there and use lots of websites to find out about an area. So let's have a look at some of these properties, the prices. What have we got here? Shildon. You've got to be careful with some of these old mining towns. They can be very declining in population, which means they're not going to be very good investment areas. But the yields, if these rent out for $450 a month, which I can imagine properties like this rent out for $450, no problem. You've got over 10% yield, gross yield. So some of these can be really good deals to sell to investors and charge them a fee. Now, our Hong Kong investors specifically, again, this comes down to knowing what your investors want. In our industry, generally, a lot of our investors want off-market deals so you can justify your fee. They can't literally go on Zoopla or Rightmove and find a deal, because if they could, they'd just go and buy it and they wouldn't pay you a fee. So this is why you've got to justify your USPs. You've got to draw out the USPs of a deal, but also make sure you work with the right investors, because the Hong Kong investors don't care that they're online. They can't do the viewings. They can't do, and by the way, on viewings, we don't want to go out and do the viewings, not because we're lazy, but because it's not particularly good use of our time. We use a company called Viewer, pay them literally 30 quid. They'll go and do a viewing, take some pictures of the property, charge a bit more for a picture pack, and then we can present that to the investors. We also get valuations done, corporate asset management valuations, which backs up the price. It gives you a full report, and we pass that to the investor. And again, this is all part of giving value to investors, making sure they can see what you're bringing to the table, and this justifies your fee. So our Hong Kong investors are happy to buy on market deals. So don't be afraid to ask your investors that, do you buy on market deals? Because if they don't, and they have to be off market, then it's pointless you bringing these deals to them. But our Hong Kong investors do. They're more than happy for us to bring these to them, and they'll pay us a fee because we do all the hard work for them, because we're boots on the ground. And we've got all our systems and processes and solicitors and mortgage brokers, even though a lot of them buy with cash. So these are more yield type investments. If you've got investors that want yield investments, these are the right deals. Perhaps in some of these areas, you've got to be careful. You've got to know the areas, you've got to make sure the growing areas are not declining, and things like that. So you've got to do some research for your investors. So that's one example. So let's suppose you had some investors that said, no, we want off-market discounted property deals. Then I would look for most reduced. And I would go over the most reduced properties. And you've got these here, which have been on, it tells you when they were reduced and by what percentage. And you're talking pretty big reductions here in prices. Doesn't necessarily mean the properties were worth what they were when they put on. It might mean that they were put on too high, but there's a general consensus here that all these properties are showing quite big discounts. So it'd be certainly worth contacting these people directly. Now, you're not going to go to the agent. You could go directly to the agent, try and tie up a deal. Again, it depends on your relationship with the investors. So the easiest place would be to go to these estate agents, speak to them, try and secure a deal with them at a price and sell them to investors. But if they have to be off-market deals, genuinely off-market deals, which some investors do want, then you would need to go directly to the owner. So you could do some due diligence and go to the owners directly. You might need to pull the title register of the property to find the contact details of the owners. That'll cost you £3 at a time. But again, this is all within your £1,000 budget. And you only need to sell one of these deals. Let's say you get a £3,000 fee on the low side, £3,000 to put one of these deals together. It takes you a month to do it. It's £3,000 in a month, less some of your costs that you've taken out your £1,000, your compliance, getting compliant, and maybe downloading some title registers, things like that. And then next month you might sell 2. The following month you might sell 3. You will get some that will fall out and drop out, so you need to keep refilling your pipeline. But generally, this is how you're doing it, and you're finding the right investments in the right areas. So that's Zoopla. There's other features on Rightmove where you can sort by the oldest listed. You can do things like that as well. Zoopla is quite good because it's got this function on here with most reduced. You've also got things like Facebook Marketplace. You can find deals on there as well. That could be quite a good place to find potential deals. But first of all, start with speaking to investors, getting a shopping list together, find out what they're looking for. And don't expect all, let's say you get 50 investors on your books, don't expect them all to buy. You've got to qualify them really well to make sure they are on board and they're going to, you bring them a deal, there's a good chance they're going to go for it. So do a good job of vetting them to avoid you wasting your time. But they're not all going to move on the deals. So sometimes you'll take a deal to them. They might have committed to another deal elsewhere and they might have used up their capital for that month. So you need to have other investors ready to take these deals. But you can also use the likes of Rightmove to repurpose the deals like I was just showing you before and actually add deals to these kind of groups as well. Now, they're obviously going to have to be off-market deals if you do that because people will just see them and they'll just go directly to the agent and cut you out. That's the obvious thing that happens. So only put deals on Facebook if you've perhaps got them direct off the owners or a good relationship with the agents, but just be a bit careful of doing that. But these are some of the groups to post in them. So you've got £1,000 to start your property business. As I've said, don't bother trying to invest in lease options or even rent-to-rent deals. You're going to need more than £1,000. So the quickest, simplest way for you to make really good money is to package deals, be a middleman, collect the fees, and you get people looking for things like HMOs. We've not talked about that. Other types of deal types, HMOs, blocks of flats, land plots. I'd probably avoid land plots and stuff because you've got to work out the gross development values, you've got to work out build costs. Perhaps keep it simple for your first few deals, but you can go down different routes with this business and package up various deal types and you turn this into a very lucrative business. So this will kickstart your property business and your investment journey. Then you can use the profits that you make from the deal packaging into buying assets.